everyone. This is Dr. Supreet from Department of Commerce, University of Delhi. So today we'll be talking about India and the trade agreements. And we'll be specifically talking about the recent pacts that India had with various nations. Now before we enter into different pacts that are being signed by the Indian government, first we'll come to the relevance of having these trade agreements. Now why these trade agreements are required or why they are needed given the present context. So we know that we have been a liberalized economy since 1991. In 1991, there was LPG that came as a reform, as a major reform in the nation, due to which there was liberalization, privatization, and most importantly, globalization, which says that we'll be integrating our economy with the world's economy. Now, when we talk about integration, when we talk about aligning with other parts of the world so as to boost the economic growth, so as to boost the economic cooperation, there is an urgent requirement of entering into trade agreements or bilateral ties with various other nations. Now, bilateral ties are very crucial for the growth, for the survival, and to foster new environment with respect to boosting the trade, to enhance the economic cooperation. So that is why these trade agreements are of critical importance. Now when we say trade agreements, what importance does they play? They are basically the rules of the road that we call them as. Why they are the rules of the road? Because if we are having an agreement with the other nation, it sort of provides us a framework, the contours within which we will be operating, or it will be opening the avenues for entering into growth with various other nations, right. So through these agreements we will be fostering our bilateral ties, we will be fostering the bilateral trade, it will lead to growth, it will open the passage to greater alliances for economic cooperation, for social cooperation, for for security, for peace. So for all these activities to be in line, this is very much required that we have some trade agreements. We have been entering into trade agreements since we attained independence. So in the first 5-year plan, even when we talk about, we did have number of trade agreements wherein we were aligning with different parts of the world so as to boost our foreign trade, right, because foreign trade has a very crucial role in the economic growth of a nation. Through these foreign trade, we are boosting our economy, we are channelizing the growth, we are boosting the investments, multiplying effect onto the capital formation, savings, and ultimately the economic growth of a nation. So that is why these trade agreements are of vital importance. Now, over the last decade, one decade, there has been a major jump in the number of trade agreements that we have entered into. So we'll be specifically talking about the recent deals that happened and what is its very strategic importance, significance, and how it helped us attain greater share of FDIs and it helped us attain the global attention, right. Now first we'll be talking about India-Poland Trade Pact that happened on 21st and 22nd of August 2024. Now this very India-Poland Trade Pact, it is our Prime Minister's visit to Poland was the first by any Indian Prime Minister in the past 45 years. It last happened in 1975 and it is also a very historic visit because of this coincidence that took place, that this is the 70th anniversary of our diplomatic ties with Poland. Now India is taking one step further to boost its bilateral ties with Poland. Now, it wants to go for the strategic partnership with Poland because with the rising importance of trade and very predominant role of Poland and its partnership. So that is why these agreements are being envisioned as an endeavor to boost the cooperation and to enhance the cultural or educational partnerships, right. Now, when we talk about these agreements, so when specifically talking about India-Poland agreement, there are certain highlights of this very pact. So, the first one is that it has a envision for a 5-year action plan that will run from 2024 to 28, will be focusing on to majorly on defense, security, trade, technology and digitalization. Now, when we are talking about that, we will be having a joint working commission that will be focusing on to this 5-year action plan, with the aim of which is to enhance the cooperation, be it the sector of your defense or through the security or trade or boosting the technology or digitalization. The focus is that there is an enhanced cooperation and alliance between the two nations, and this 5-year action plan is envisioned as a one wherein number of activities will be taken up, wherein there will be frequent meetings. At least they are aiming that at least for twice they will be meeting in this 5-year action plan, wherein strategic alliances will be formed in major areas as mentioned. So, this action plan is like to boost our trade, to boost these investments into different sectoral compositions, right. Now, next is it is also focusing on having social security pacts, so that this mobility of skilled workers and their welfare is promoted. So, by having these social security pacts, the government is envisioning that there will be more mobility, sort of the workers will be promoted, their skills will be promoted, and that will lead to greater social welfare. Similarly, there have been pacts to under this very deal, there have been agreement to strengthen the cultural exchanges and educational partnerships between the two nations. Now, we already have a well established bilateral tie with ties with Poland, wherein we are having cultural exchanges, various educational partnerships with Poland. So, this agreement will do what? It will strengthen the existing plan of action. It will boost the SOP for the same, and through that there will be stronger alliances between the two nations. Furthermore, when we talk about India-Poland relation, it has now envisioned, the Prime Minister has envisioned that now we will be focusing on increasing the direct connectivity, direct flight connectivity between the two of the nations, so that there is better connectivity, right. There are more frequent, you could say, key mobility of the trade or the goods. So, for that it will be establishing onto the direct flight connections with Poland. And furthermore, Poland and India has committed towards taking action against terrorism also. So, international terrorism is one such thing wherein they have taken a, for which they have taken a comprehensive convention for international terrorism, wherein they have manifested and they have committed to take an action against this terrorism, and they have made endeavors that now country will promote safe haven to any of the terrorists who is having malintent in order to go through either the financial measures, economic measures to spread terrorism. So, to counter this terrorism, they have came in action so that a comprehensive convention on this international terrorism is taken upon. Further on, they have also talked upon in order to promote the Indo-Pacific deal. So, they have moved up for an open free trade and a rule based trade for Indo-Pacific. And similarly, they have come up with joint working commissions for defense agreements, so that they will promote or enhance a cooperation, not just with respect to one aspect, but also with respect to, let's say, multi-layered aspects of your technology, digitalization, security. So there are number of agreements, number of parameters that being discussed, and that were the key highlights of the agreement that happened recently between the two of the nations. And the two of the nations have also promised that they will be strengthening their ties, they will be taking it to a strategic partnership, not just for a present 4 to 5 years plan, but it is a commitment that it will enhance their India European Union strategic partnership to a next level. Similarly, when we talk about the agreements, there were agreements with respect to cyber security also. So both the nations have committed towards to foster the cooperation with respect to their fight against this terrorism, or to provide a shield of cyber security, and to come up with some more pacts that sort of work on to digitalization between the two of the nations. Then there are also defense collaborations between the two of the nations, which talks about how we'll be modernizing the India's military equipments. So there are ties, there are agreements with respect to the same, and both the countries have envisioned that they will collaborate on to sustainable technologies, whether it is your cleaner energy or waste management. So both the nations have collaborated on to number of agreements in this recent visit. That is why it has been taken up as a very strong strategic alliance, which envisions for a strategic partnership in the future, because they are not just committing towards one aspect, rather there are layers of action that are being envisioned under this India-Poland deal, wherein they will be talking about this 5-year action plan. There will be action against terrorism, international terrorism. There will be more rule-based open policy for Indo-Pacific, and then too there will be more of social security pacts for increasing the mobility of the skilled workers, to go for more cultural exchanges, educational partnerships, go for boosting the connectivity between the two of the nations. That will also further the trade between the two nations. And moreover, they focus on to not just the the basic your structures, as in your agreements with respect to your either the education, but also they have moved towards the sustainable technologies, wherein they are talking about cleaner energy, waste management. So these deals like such, they are envisioned that they will promote the growth, they will increase the inflow of the FDIs in India, right, or they will enhance the bilateral relations between two of the nations, and also the security or the peace. They have focused upon that they will be offering the cooperation, they will be fostering the cooperation, so that the there is international peace, they will be working towards the same. So these deals like such, and specifically the recent ones, they will just navigate towards us towards this direction, that deals like such are of strategic importance, as it boosts our international relations and further the growth of a nation, right. So this is one such deal that happened recently. Another you can aspects that you can talk about with respect to Poland is that Poland is India's largest trading and investment partner when specifically talking about the Central Eastern Europe region. So Poland, that is why it is of strategic significance, and there are also deals with respect to your India EU Trade and Technology Council, which is your TTC. So this Trade and Technology Council, there were negotiations for the same, so that for the operationalization of such agreements, that will boost the trade and investment negotiation between India and EU. So this India and EU will be boosting their trade negotiations through these agreements, and India's export to Poland, majorly when we talk about, there are two segregations. So majorly when we talk about the exports to Poland, it will include the nuclear reactors, there will be boilers, there will be machinery, mechanical appliances that we are exporting to Poland, iron and steel, pharmaceuticals, there are iron and steel, and then there are plastic and rubber articles. So these are the major areas or the sectoral compositions when we are talking about the India's export category to Poland specifically. And similarly, when we are talking about India's import from Poland, so that include all sort of your minerals, fuels, waxes and machinery, sound recorders or sound reproducers. So these are the major areas of import that we specifically go for Poland. And also Poland brings in a great set of investments into India. So that is why this deal has been considered as a one of the important strategic deal to boost the strategic partnership with Poland in the coming times, right. Another such pact was your India-Brunei Trade Pact. So, India-Brunei Trade Pact was signed between it, happened between 3rd to 4th September 2024, and this is one of the, very significant deal, and it was, such a deal which has elevated our bilateral ties, specifically with Brunei, and it was the first very, visit of Indian Prime Minister to Brunei Darussalam, and that is considered as of very strategic importance again, because it will enhance or elevate our bilateral ties of our vision of Act East policy. Earlier we used to say that Look East policy, but now it has shifted, transition from Look East to Act East policy. So these elevated bilateral ties to enhance partnership, wherein important this Brunei will act as an important partner of India's Act East policy and this Indo-Pacific vision. Furthermore, we have established the diplomatic relations with Brunei way back in 1984. So this also marks the 40 years of diplomatic ties with Brunei, and Brunei is of such it's a Asian nation, and it's a very you could say strategic importance because of it being rich in energy resources, right. So when we are talking about specifically India and Brunei, so it is, as I mentioned, that it is one of the important deals that will strengthen our relations of Act East policy, right. Then there was space cooperation agreements, and already we had a set of agreement MOUs with Brunei with respect to ISRO's telemetry tracking and telecommand stations, but through this deal these relations were more of channelized into the renewed memorandum of understanding between the two, wherein they have agreed, Brunei has agreed for space cooperation and for ISRO's telemetry tracking and telecommand station, which will indicate that both the nation will move towards the mutual interest in advancing the collaboration in space exploration and satellite technology. So through this Brunei is supporting, is collaborating with India's ISRO's TTC, and to push our space exploration vision and the endeavors to explore the satellite technology, right. Another important aspect or the highlight of this India-Brunei deal was that there was defense cooperation for which an MOU was signed, and it was envisioned that there will be a joint working group so that this defense ties between the two will be enhanced. So there will be joint training exercises, there will be visits between India and Brunei, so as to strengthen our defense cooperation, and that is why this joint working group is in place, because it will go for what? It will go for more of joint exercises between the two of the nations, right. Then we also have a memorandum of understanding, that is for a joint trade committee that will do what? That will establish a joint trade committee so that this regular exchanges and bilateral dialogues and ties between the two of the nations are boosted. So when we are talking about trade and investment between this Brunei and India, so we have done specifically what? We have formed a joint trade committee which will do what? Which will facilitate which will monitor the regular set of exchanges that takes place between the two of the nations with respect to trade and investment. So, that will be a continuous monitoring of the same, wherever strategic alliances or partnerships being required, or renewed MOUs being required for the same. So, they will be looking upon the same, right. Then again, there is another highlight of this deal is that it will boost the direct flight connectivity. Through this agreement, what will we have in the place is that there will be the Prime Minister, he envisioned that both the nations will be having a direct flight connectivity. So, between Bandar Seri Bagawan and Chennai, there will be bilkul direct this connectivity that will ensure what is that there is more stronger people to people linkages, there will be more of trade, there will be more of tourism, there will be more of investments. So, to facilitate the same, this direct connectivity is envisioned, and that being ensured by both the this Prime Minister and the Sultan Hassanal. And let me just point out here why Brunei is of strategic importance is that is the longest reigning monarchy in the world. So, Brunei is having the longest reigning period of this monarchy in the world. So, that is why also not just of our Act East policy, but otherwise also, as I mentioned, that Brunei one is energy rich, naturally abundant with the energy resources, and through these ties between the two will be fostering the bilateral ties, will be leading to more of stronger bonds between the two of the nations. That will not just boost the trade, but that will also boost the linkages between the people through tourism, right. Now, again both the nations are again aligned, and they are committed, they have manifested that they will fight against terrorism, and they will not provide a safe haven to any of the perpetrators, to any of the those who being involved in the terrorism activities, either financial, social, any sort of terrorism activities. So, a safe haven to them will not be provided, and rather there will be cooperation against terrorism and transnational organized crimes. So, they will also collaborate at the international forums like the UN for actions against terrorism. So, again this was of very critical importance, because it will boost its ties beyond your one sectoral composition, but also at the international level when we are running a fight against terrorism. So, India again further on, India is committed that it will provide training and scholarship opportunities under its various framework, and specifically under iTech and EITech frameworks, and India is committed so that it will do what, it will provide the training also, it will provide the scholarship opportunities also. And as I mentioned, the most important highlight of this deal is that it will this will enhance the bilateral trade relations, particularly in sectors like your energy, and specifically liquefied natural gases, pharmaceuticals, agriculture, ICT. So, Brunei will be very crucial for us, because we will be aiming for energy resources, will be going for you could say more of enhanced trade with respect to your energy resources. Specifically, as I mentioned, that Brunei is energy rich, and specifically there will be trade agreements that will foster this relation, that will go for there will be more of supply of your, India will be going for more of purchase of your liquefied natural gases from Brunei itself, right. Now, when we are talking about these agreements are actually lead to more of enhanced relations, which will be set up as against a backdrop of this increasing geopolitical tensions that is there between the Indo-Pacific regions. And by strengthening the ties with Brunei, India will aim to enhance its strategic presence in Southeast Asia. and also will while supporting Brunei's sovereignty and territorial integrity. So, this is one of the key deals that will be focusing talking about India's strategic presence in Southeast Asia regions, and that is why these two recent deals, they have been of significant importance. They are being envisioned because one is the reason this is the first very visit by any Indian Prime Minister to each of these nations, and this has opened the avenues towards Southeast also, and it has also further our relations to the next level. So, we will be talking about furthermore in the second segment.